The good news is I think Capcom has learned from the 5 launch. I think so too. Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty obvious the game is going to be in a good state when it launches. It was actually, you know what was fascinating with the Street Fighter V launch? It was a horrible launch, not just for casuals. It was actually a horrible launch for both casuals and competitive players. Like it's kind of funny, like they tried to make the competitive scene happy by providing at least a really good training mode, and like that is undeniable. Training mode in Street Fighter 5 was the most advanced training mode we ever had up until that point, right? Versus mode was functional. The game was actually pretty well balanced. It wasn't that bad. And online obviously was there as well. So they were like, okay, it doesn't matter if we don't have any content for like any single player content. What matters the most is that we get the game functional for tournaments. And in the end, what ended up happening is the competitive scene hated it for the input lag was bad. V-trigger was and is very questionable at best. And give me a second. So yeah, Street Fighter V ended up being in a position where everyone was unhappy because the single player content wasn't there, so casuals hated it, and for the rest of the competitive scene, we didn't like it because the online was non-functional, and on top of that, the offline was questionable as well, because there was so much lag, input lag was a major concern, and the mechanics weren't very popular in 5 as well. So, like, that is a major accomplishment by Capcom. Like, launching the game in that state was a disaster. What do you mean is questionable? No, the game was very well balanced, actually. And you could argue the game, Street Fighter V, was well balanced because everyone just got a broken V-trigger, so the probability of making a comeback was equally absurd for everyone. I mean, you can balance a game just by making every character get like a pop V-trigger into a free comeback mechanic. That's gonna balance everything out. It's like a coin flip. A coin flip is perfectly balanced. Is that what people want? No, that's not what people want. People want to be rewarded for good gameplay. If you play well, you're supposed to be rewarded. If you play better than your opponent, you're supposed to be rewarded. And Street Fighter V still had that, even on launch day, even though like the damage output was ridiculous, the V-triggers were even more ridiculous than they are nowadays. Obviously, the core mechanics of Street Fighter still allowed for skillful play, which is something, this is something I hated. I personally hated that, because the discussion wasn't about, hey, V-trigger is a bad mechanic, okay? It's not a great mechanic for Street Fighter. Instead of having a discussion about that, we have a discussion about, oh, Street Fighter V is so noob-friendly. Anyone can now beat Daigo, which is absolute nonsense. Like, and this is what triggers me so much, because Capcom presented us with a perfect opportunity to give them feedback on how much we didn't like what Street Fighter V was about, and instead of seizing the opportunity, we completely butchered it by talking about stuff that isn't even an issue in Street Fighter V. Like, oh no, the game is so much the neutral game. What's like setup? What did people call it again? People are complaining about like setups and stuff. And I'm like, okay, Street Fighter 4 was basically just setups. Every knockdown was a hard knockdown. People didn't know what they were talking about a bit. It really, really triggered me. Biggest selling point was not anyone can win. Biggest selling point was supposed to be, hey, even if you're a beginner at Street Fighter, we don't have these tedious one-frame links, so you shouldn't be scared to try out the game. You're not gonna... The selling point of Street Fighter V was never, hey, you can beat Daigo now no matter who you are, because there's no skill involved. That has never been the selling point. And that would be absolutely ridiculous if that was the selling point. But, I mean, there was a moment where Combo Fiend actually made a statement where he was trying to explain what had happened between Lupe Fiasco and Daigo, and that's his argument. He said, oh, like he tried to turn it into that, not realizing that his attempt at marketing absolutely sucked. Like, till this day, there are people who think that Lupe Fiasco beat Daigo legit, which is fascinating to me. Wait, he did not?
Round 2. Fight.
Even Lupe believes it. It's just that you can't make a public statement as Lupe because it was a show match, right? So you gotta keep up the illusion. $25. When you can clearly tell Daigo could have just played his traditional fireball game, anti-air game, and completely ignored any of the Street Fighter V mechanics, and he would have absolutely stomped him. He didn't do that because that wouldn't make an interesting match. Instead, he did walk-up parry and stuff like that. He did random stuff to make it look more interesting and to make it closer. Like this blows my mind because the only way you could possibly think that's what happened, like that Lupe won legit, is if you have no concept of how far ahead you are when it comes to competitive play. It doesn't matter if Lupe Fiasco knows what negative edge is. Actually, in fact, there are a lot of top players who don't know the technicalities of the game very well. You don't need to do that. You don't need to know the ins and outs of the game. But what you need to understand is a casual player will never, ever beat a top player at Street Fighter just by sheer luck or just by, oh, I'm gonna go on a grinding session for a week for a show match and then I'll be able to beat Daigo. It completely, like, is such a bad way of looking at competitive play. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't a real question, right? But as I said, it doesn't even matter. None of that even matters, you know? You can boil down the entire fight into a much simpler way of looking at it.
Round 1. Fight.
Oh wow, that was fantastic. This guy's really good. Wow.
Round 2. Fight.
That's how I lose the win streak?
You lose.
The guy just bet everything on that? Aw, come on. I started off with an unfortunate jump. And then he even beats me with just a crazy read. If he had been wrong on that, he would have died right there. Wow, that was not good enough. I feel like that would have happened last time around.
Round 2. Fight.
He woke up back throw. This guy's really good, actually. He woke up back throw. Why did I parry? Builds V gauge. It's optimal. That's why.
Round 1. Fight.
You can parry and jump after, but I wasn't going for the stylish punish. It's not that easy to get. I had already done the sweep. This guy. That was amazing. What? Okay.
Final round. Fight.
That was crazy. guy is really good. I got, like, the first match was a bit of, a lot of unfortunate things coming together. I cornered myself early on. I lost the first round just because I had a bad jump in, and then I couldn't get out anymore. I almost can't believe he's actually stuck in that rank with this play. If he always plays like that, he should actually get higher than that. That was very well played. But maybe it's just the inconsistency, you know? I mean, the fact that he beat me with a read that, even though he had the life lead, he was betting the farm on a big read instead of just closing it out. So I guess it does show inconsistency. Still not bad, though. Is it against the rules to consume alcohol on stream? No, I think you can. You just can't get wasted. I've actually done drunk streams, okay? And never had an issue, but it really depends, I guess, on your behavior. And certainly there is a rule on Twitch that you're not allowed to drink so much that you're gonna, well, feel intoxicated, you know? So I actually kind of broke the rules a couple of times, or let's say got on the edge for those rules. Correct. Like every single time I play a low diamond Akira, it's always a smurf. But why can I not just play the fireball game and win? I always end up in a position where I get uncomfortable and then I'm dead. Oh, what? That was bad. Oh! Ooh! Well, that's right, GG's. Your Sagat actually is getting scary. I like that. Yeah, it's the anti-airs. Like it's like the last like 1%. It's always that, you know.